Hello.
So
Yeah,
what's
there we
good,
go.
Michelle?
What's going on, man?
It was good, man. Had to bring
Same
you on
thing.
for exclusive today.
All right, all right.
Man, let's talk about it. Let's talk about a recent sale that you just had. And we're not talking about Mr. B's, we're talking about Casa. Let's talk
Yeah,
about that.
Casa is an interesting story. It's not really so recent. Casa sold just after Magoo did. Um, Unfortunately, it was sold to Taiwan. The transaction of the banks is a little different. Plus, I needed more time with him because I was so the deal was, they pay me off within a certain amount of time. They exceeded that time, but we worked it out. So he's now in Taiwan. Not to worry, I got enough frozen to last me forever. Um, But yeah, so he finally there. He's nice place. And he's at our kennel facility over there too. So they're also my partners. So I'm not really concerned about it. He's still representing Muscletone all the time and all the way as well. And I called him 50-50. So of course he's closed for stud over there. Um, but else than that, if he's ever to be opened, if they decided to, then they would pay me 50%. So yeah, so that's what's going on with him. I have full exclusive rights to him here too. Obviously, it's always part of my contracts.
Prior to the acceptance of the sale of Casa with the co-own, did you have other offers on him prior to that? Or what was the
Yeah.
deciding factor co-own
Well,
this time?
originally when Bay approached me, he wanted Kaza, not Magoo. But I wasn't ready. Like I said, I wasn't ready to let go of Kaza. Kaza has always been my favorite. I have a soft spot for him. I think his muscular mass is surpassing all the other dogs I've produced. Um, I like the way he stands on his feet and his front legs, just the way he just moves. He's very athletic. I know a lot of people criticize him, but that's just the way it is. But he's for me my favorite dog. He's also my best producing dog. Bean's doing really well right now. He's catching up, but still Kaza is Kaza. Like my favorite female in my yard is Mila. She's a Bean daughter. She's 87 pounds, 15 inches. I don't even take pictures of her next to Bean because she looks like the male. But Nikita, who's a lot smaller than her, is all muscular built just like Kaza, and she's in the kennels outside too. And just I don't know, she's just more breathtaking than anything else. It's just the structures that he built. I think I'm fascinated with muscles, though. I like a dog that produces muscle more than I like a dog that produces bone and head. Even though Kaza produces all of it.
Now, one of the dogs you recently started really promoting was that female who was like 10 inches tall, 38 pounds. Her name is Boo.
Boo's off of Bozo, so she has no Magoo in her.
Are you familiar
Um,
with her? Yeah,
yeah, I produced the dog. So I bred Bozo to a female outside of my yard. We took a female off of that, named it, and I think her name was Dallas, and we bred Bozo right back to her. So that's how we end up with Boo. Boo has a litter-mate brother her size too in France. There's only two pups in that litter. She's super tiny. Um, Her structure is, I mean, I'm telling you, she's like, if she was just a couple inches taller, because she's not tall enough to enter the ring, but a couple inches taller, she'd shut the ring. Her top line, her angulations, short back, beautiful fronts, tight toes, beautiful bite. She's just like a perfect little mini dog, but she's too small for me. Beautiful muscle mass too, and bone, but just too small. I like an extreme dog. I like to walk in with a
so
pocket dog, but extreme.
what made you keep her in for breeding purposes on your yard?
Well, I
What
kept her. I didn't think she was gonna stay that small, because she was a really big puppy. She was a really big puppy. She just stopped growing at like a 3-4 months. Um, but you know, for a long time, I debated what I was going to do with her. Every day I walked in there, I was like, okay, she's going to grow. She's going to grow. She surpassed a year and a half, and I'm like, okay, she's not growing. This is it. I got to accept it. So there was a moment I tried selling her to a few people, um, but the price that I wanted, they weren't willing to pay. So I thought to myself, man, let me keep her. Let me see, there might be a market for that. So let me see what I can do. Maybe I'll make me a little section of smaller dogs and put some use to her because she's a quality dog. I'd hate to waste her, just because she's short. It's not like it's a
what so
defect.
was that the deciding factor to take her to Mr. Beans to add
Yeah, to
more
add more
mass?
substance to her. Yeah, to add more size, hopefully a little bit of height. Kaza produces smaller dogs than Bean does. So if I bred her to Kaza, I'm worried they're going to be even smaller or the same height.
Now, is there a risk factor involved with that, with all that heavy mass and bone on a 10-inch frame? Is that something you worry about?
You know, I thought about it, but I just don't see I see an issue with it because when I first started, I was breeding cows to pockets. I had 14-inch female breeding to 22-inch male, try to get that substance on a pocket, you know. Obviously, that was the wrong formula, by the way, but you know, you do trial and error back in the day, and we never had a problem, you know. I mean, Magoo was bred to Mulan, and he's about 3 times her weight. He was like, what, 12 inches, 12 and a half. She dropped 9 puppies, no problem, you know. So I don't know. I think she'll be fine. We're not worried about it.
Talk about the next generation of Muscletone bullies, as far as what the vision for the next group of Muscletone bully pups.
Right.
One of
So,
the
like
dogs
I,
that about didn't mean to cut you off, but one of the dogs that I noticed you've been promoting as a future stud is Solo.
yeah.
Talk about
So,
what makes them so special.
so, all right. So let me start with this. Last time we talked around national time, I remember saying I don't think I'm done. You know, I still have some tweaking to do. And I've been thinking for a long time. I'm like, where do I go? Where do I go? Like, I got consistency. I'm producing these dogs, males and females, one after the other. You know, we're not talking just a Magoo, Casa, and Bean here. You got Apollo, Claude. I can name 50, 60 off the top of my head, and there's more than that. So we got a consistency. Obviously, we got very close to amazing conformation, bone, head, mass. We have that on lock. Nobody's touching us. Of course, I can keep on cleaning them, but the more I clean them, the more size I lose. So before I go backwards, I'm thinking, and this is my theory, and I could be wrong, but you know, so far my theories have been working, so I'm going to give it a shot. Is to go bigger. I'm going to lose a little conformation, probably. Hopefully not. Probably not to the point where the dog will be dysfunctional. By no means, but to an extreme like we used to have back in the day. Like I'm talking like dogs like in the 2007, 2008, something like Omen in the front with a proper rear, obviously, but you know, a really massive, massive dog. So stuff like that. Corrupt, for example, really large, but I want the bone and the head, and I want them on a pocket frame instead of those standards and XL sizes. I'm hoping that what I've been doing is going to give me that. So now I've been breeding my really, really extreme females to Bean and my really, really extreme females to Casa, you know. So trying to get more in size. For a while, my females were all 14, 13-inch dogs. Sure, they were gorgeous, muscular, massive, but I need to go back in height so that I can get more size on the width. So I want a wider dog. So I've seen as wide as Magoo and Bean were in all their stock offs and Casa, and you know, like Bean when he went for the stack off next to Exotic. Didn't matter what dog he stood next to, he was wider, and if you looked at him from the top, it was even more impressive than it was from the front. Of course, the videos are all from the front. So I want to do another stack off, but this time I want to make it look to the point where it's a huge difference, way worse than it was ever before. I'm gonna watch wider dog than Bean, so I want to add another 3-4 inches in width to what Bean had on the same height frame.
What has the results been from those breedings, from what you see so far?
Well, I'll give you an example. Let me go. Yeah, obviously, my kennel facility is not here, but I keep a few dogs here. So let me go to the kennels. I'm gonna show you a 7-week pup. I mean, he's just 7 weeks. He's just a little baby. Come here, boy. Okay. This is a little Bean puppy. Okay. He's 7 weeks. I can barely carry him in one hand. Just to give you an idea of the size
Oh
on the
wow,
dog.
yeah.
Okay. So now I'm gonna compare him, as you see him here, to a 12-week-old pup from another litter. This is the biggest pup in the litter of Kyoto, which is what the size I'm used to. So this one is 12 weeks. They're the same size. 12 weeks, 7 weeks. So it's almost double the age and they're the same size dog, and they weigh the same on the scale.
Same size.
So, okay, what's that?
Size of both those pups.
I didn't hear you. Did I sell
When he
them?
no, is the Beans the sire for both pups?
No, no. One puppy's off of Kyoto and Kit Kat, and the other
Okay.
puppy's off of Bean.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to say is some of I showed you one of the normal breedings I do that I always get
Yeah.
those nice sized dogs, and that's going to be a beautiful male, that champagne male. But the size difference, what is Solo, for example? Solo is huge. I mean, people come in here, they can't believe he's 11, 12 weeks. They look at him, they think he's 4 months, 5 months. He's a big boy, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go bigger. We're not going to go to standard size. We're staying in the pockets, just wider.
You know that's interesting that you say that because that was actually going to be one of my questions. Do you breed, in other words, not for the standards, but for your own creation of the next style of American bullies, the next phase of the American bully?
I do. I breed for what I like. I don't. I'm not concerned about anyone else. I breed for what I like, and what I like is what most people like. Because if it wasn't, then they wouldn't be buying from me. We all have similar tastes, you know. We all like that wow factor. So it's the generations we live in. You know, we all want Bentleys and Lambos, and you know, we can buy an old beater and still get us from point A to point B. But that's not what we want now. We wanna walk from one end to the other in style. So we want something impressive, and that's where that comes down to. So I'm trying to produce more impressive dogs than I ever produced before. I'm also trying to bring in something different. I'm tired of looking at blue dogs, chocolate dogs, and fawn dogs, even though fawn is my favorite color. Trying to get more tries and different, you know, and maybe bring in some exotic looking brindles. When I say exotic, I don't mean exotic dogs. I mean exotic in color, you know, like the color of Solo, for example. I had another dog, and I should have kept him and bred to him off of Magoo. He had the most beautiful brindle color I ever seen. It was like almost like these red lines going through him on a creamish, grayish coat. So, but you know, so I'm trying to get some of that stuff in. But yeah, it's
Is
gonna have a very different look, but
is
the
that
same head structures and substance.
the same structure and substance?
Yeah, just more width, just wider. That's all.
What do you say to those people that say why don't you breed to the standards? You know, everybody's different and have different visions, but they always you
What is
all
the standard? Let's talk about standard. Let's talk about that. There's a video on my website that's been there for 9 years, 8 years. And it talks about, you know, that a lot of the dogs that were winning in the shows were dogs that I believed were not American bullies. I believed they were clean looking pit bulls or Amstaffs. They might be a little tiny bit heavier boned than a regular pit or staff, but it was still not an American bully by no means. And I remember one of the questions was like, yeah, but you know, isn't that the standard? No, that was never meant to be the standard. I remember when ABKC first launched. It wasn't 20 years ago. It was around 05, 06, something like that. When people start hearing about the ABKC, the first show was right here in Michigan. So everyone was looking for that extreme dog. And we had dogs that looked exotic, by the way, cricket legs and all that, the show. And that's what people seem to forget. They seem like, oh, yeah, no, we're breeding for this UKC. They're almost going backwards. Like, we left the UKC for that exact reason. We didn't want those dogs. Matter of fact, when you walked into a UKC show with a dog that was extremely overdone, it was a pit, it was papered pit, you walked in, it was extremely done, you got everyone's attention, and everyone hated on you the way they hate on Magoo and everyone else that's out there looking like that. Those are the same people that hated on the movement of the American bully. They're no different. They're the same exact people. They just pretend to actually like the American bully, but they're just hating because they can't seem to get to that level. Because those dogs are not easy to produce. They're not, especially without falling apart. You can make, if you're gonna mix dogs, sure, you can mix dogs all day long. You're gonna get some extreme fat, big bone dog, but they're gonna be probably falling apart. And if they're not falling apart, there's still their DNA coding is not, it's not proper enough to produce consistency because it's mixed. So it's not easy to do. But once you
now,
have it in lock, you know,
let me
that's a
ask you,
different story.
picking on the UKC. Do you register your dogs with the UKC at all?
No, why? I don't have pit bulls. I have American bullies, so I registered with the ABKC. I
You know,
stopped
because
registering UBC years ago.
Who do you use?
ABKC. I use ABKC. I had to, at one point I had to choose a registry. This is before all these other ABKC all these other American bully registries. The ABKC was there from the beginning. I supported it. It supported me. It never done me wrong. And that's what my customers want. My customers, when they call me, the first question, especially when Europe started, are the ABKC papers. And the reason for it is because there was the EBKC in Europe that was trying to take over, but the Europeans felt like it was fake because they were being printed in someone's basement. But, you know, nevertheless, they were really heavy on ABKC, and they still are. My customers in Asia, when they call me, is it ABKC registered? They don't want no other registry because it's kind of like the AKC of the American bully, you know? So I use them. I love all the other registries. I have a lot of friends in the other registries. If they invite me, I will go, and, you know, but I can't compete in 20 registries. That's just ridiculous. I can't do that. I don't have that kind of time. So I pick one, and that's the one I picked, and I've been in it so long, I got to keep going with it, you know? I'm like too far deep in. So I stick to it.
Let me ask you, Bashad, do you feel with the next wave of the Muscletone bullies that are coming into existence, do you feel that the standards will change one day again?
Okay, so I'll go back. That's what I was talking about earlier before we got off track. The video on my website. They asked me, why don't I breed to the standard? Why? You know, this, and that. And I said, eventually, I will keep on breeding these show dogs and keep showing these dogs until the judges see it my way. You can't force the judges to see it your way. But when the movement is so powerful and so big, and people start to realize, okay, we got to stop worrying about what people say and really choose what the standard sits for. The standard was always an overdone dog. The extreme was not removed. The extreme was put across. And I told everyone that. We had a big debate on Facebook one time. I can't remember what forum page. They were talking about Magoo will never be the example of the breed, even though Dave went on live and said he is the closest thing to the American bully at the time. So at the end of the day, that is the goal of the breed, is to be extremely done. Big bone, big head. The more massive, the better. Shouldn't hate on mass, but you also have to calculate that Arnold cannot move like Bruce Lee.
Correct.
It does not mean he's not athletic. It does not mean he's not powerful. It does not mean he's not strong. Nevertheless, I believe he can crush Bruce Lee in one hand. But, well, maybe back in their time. But at the end of the day, oh, it's an unhealthy dog. He's too big. He's do this. He's do that. Well, Bruce Lee's dead. Arnold's still alive. So, you know, it has nothing to do with it. You can't. Muscle is muscle. Fat is fat. There's two different things. You cannot mix the two. A fat dog is an unhealthy dog. A massive muscular dog is like a bodybuilder. That is not an unhealthy dog. Is he slightly high in the rear because his front is too big? Sure, possible. Is he stand a little weaker on his toes because he has too much weight on the front? That's possible. Can we strike in that and fix it? Yes, through breeding we can. But when he walks into that ring, you have to calculate that. If it's to the point where it's ridiculous, of course, the dog should not win. But if it's slight and the other dog is cleaner, but is not massive, then what am I impressed by? There's a million dogs that can stand in that ring that be cleaner than this particular dog, but none of them are massive. So you have to think of that. You have to calculate all that when the dog walks into the ring. Now, and people will always hate on, they'll always come straight, oh, that, so you trying to pick all the fucked up. No, we're not. When you pick a dog, you're picking the future studs of the breed. These are the dogs we feel you should breed to if they win. You know, they should win because these are the future of the breed. So that's what you should breed to. So we should breed to our champions and grand champions. But if we're breeding to dogs with no substance, where do you think the breed is going to go? No substance.
No substance.
It's where it came from. It came out. It came with no substance. It took us forever to put substance on it. Take it back, we'll never get back forward again. So I reached the limit. I know my dogs are pretty extreme. I'm going to go more extreme. And then I'll clean it up again. So that's where I'm going right now.
You know, I got to ask, man, because, you know, it was already reported on. We're not going to really get into it because we already talked about it off. But, you know, it was reported on the Ty show about Mr. Beans. Do you want to give a little on that whole Mr. Beans situation?
Okay, so I know a lot of people like to discuss something that hasn't been done. The reason most people didn't know about Casa because I never announced it publicly. I was quiet about it because it wasn't finished. It wasn't processed, finished. I don't have anything finished in stone. So if it does end up finishing, and I'm hoping it does, William is a man of his word, so I trust him. Then yes, then once that's done, I'll announce it. I'll talk about it. We'll make a second interview about it. But there's no point of talking about something
Yeah,
that's not complete.
yeah, yeah. We already talked off air about that. Yeah, I had to give an
Yeah,
update on it. Already talked about
right.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back and go live about Bean and stuff. So, and
Hey,
for
let me
anyone
ask,
who's out there who's worried, if Bean does leave, there is frozen semen available. Your studs are still good. If you're in Europe, even better. William will honor him. He's a man of his word. You don't have to worry about it. So don't for anyone to worry about that.
with those two possibly, well, will soon to be gone. Who's the next up and comer in your stable right now?
I'm really concentrating on Solo a lot. I love that dog. Probably gonna make him my house dog. I haven't had a dog that I liked so much in a long time. He's. I'm hoping he keeps growing the way he is, and if he does, he's gonna be my next main stud. I have a couple other dogs on the side. There's Buddha. There's a couple pups I'm keeping that I'll bring out later. They're also very massive, and they're probably gonna be Solo size or close to it. Which these are sizes bigger than Bean, bigger than Magoo, bigger than Casa, same muscular mass, same bone, just wider spread of shoulders. You know what I mean? So the backs are wider. But so pretty much like a bigger rib cage, put it that way. So these are going to be the future. I don't believe Solo will be as clean as Bean. Might be more closer to the cleanest Kaza had or Magoo, for example. So, but not Bean's level. I think Bean is really close to perfection when it comes to substance, looks, and conformation. But I want to go bigger. So there's a cost to that.
I got to ask you because we talked about the whole what it'll take for you to give up the whole Muscletone brand. Has anybody even attempted to try to offer like that for the whole Muscletone brand?
Yeah, I had okay, so you understand the Muscletone brand. So when a lot of people don't understand it is when I value my company, I'm not talking about just this kennel facility here. Muscletone is an international franchise, okay? On corporate papers, this is not some mom and pop's backyard stuff, okay? So it's an actual corporation. So it's a whole. We're talking a lot of kennels, a lot of different properties and lands as well that are owned by Muscletone. So at the end of the day, when all said and done, the offers that I'm getting are not worth me leaving. Plus, it would really have to be that number I gave you because I'm not ready to leave. I still have things in my mind I want to do. I could retire. I could retire and just say, hey, screw it. Let me just relive the rest of my life and enjoy. But what am I going to do with my time? And what is everyone else going to do if they're not talking about me? So I got to think about them too. I can't just leave them alone. Like, hey, where'd he go? So yeah, no. So I gotta keep on going. I'm not ready to leave yet.
Wow, man! I gotta tell you, are you a part of that process that's helping to bring the ABKC over to China with Nam and them?
Yeah, not really. I don't involve myself in the ABKC events at all. I do assist and help when people who are throwing a show, no matter what, ask me to promote it, invite me there. They pay my ticket, they pay my way, so I will gladly advertise so that my appearance increases the crowd. Fine, I'll do that for people. I have no problem. I don't ask for any money, just cover my expenses. So I will do that. Sometimes I do it out of pocket if it's for like people I know and I feel like, hey, it's the least I could do for them. So Dave does the same thing, but that's his registry. Me, it's good for my image and it's good for representing my company as well. So I do it. But the show in China, matter of fact, I just heard about it yesterday. We've been talking about having a show in China since Magoo left. I think it's been 2 years now. So we've been talking about it for a long time. And finally, they're having it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know where it's at, when it's at, or anything. I think Dave
You break.
and Nan might be helping him, and some other Chinese people too. It's not just Nan. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure anything about it more than that.
Yeah,
We're
because it
having a
seems
show
like
in Poland.
they
There's a
got
show
a
in
big.
Poland. Huh?
You're part of that show that's going to be in Poland, correct?
That is our show. That's a Muscletone Bullies throwing that show.
Oh, you throwing
So
it? Okay.
my partners are throwing it, correct, and I'm assisting and I'm helping out organize it. But yeah, that is our show. We will not be competing in that show. None of the Muscletone companies will be competing, but it's something we're doing for everyone within that area. Poland is more of a third world country, not really a third world country, but more on that level of poverty. So that crowd of people don't get to travel that far to go to shows. It's just not convenient or affordable for the majority. Of course, there's everywhere else, there's rich people and poor people. So we're trying to bring it to them so they can get a chance to see it, to see these dogs. I have a lot of these people that message me all the time and they love our dogs and this, but they can't afford one, you know. So we're trying to do something so they can come out, they can see, they can enjoy, they can have some fun. So we're having it in that area because ideally the best place to have a show in Europe is in Belgium, you know, or in France because they're in the center. You know, you got Italy right there, you got Spain right there, you got the UK right there, you got Germany, you got Holland, you got all the big countries that are really big in the breed right around it. So almost everybody has the same distance to drive. Poland is really going out of the way, but we're bringing the Eastern European people into Poland, which is close to them, further for everybody else, but closer to them. But people will travel for Muscletone, so we're not worried about it.
What's your expectations for that show?
I'm hoping 300, 200 dogs. Either way, we're going to have fun. It's going to be a great show. It's probably going to be the best lineup anyone's going to see of Muscletone dogs because they're all going to be there. You know, so.
Is the process hard importing dogs into Poland?
No, Europe's pretty easy to cross in and out. We don't have that quarantine issue. It's not like Taiwan or Australia. Don't get me started on them. You know, those guys, forget about it. But Europe is easy. You land with your dog, you get him out of cargo, you go in. If he's a service dog, like all my high-end dogs, I make sure they get serviced. So, you know, I can take him on the plane with me. Like Casa traveled on 3 planes with me. It was a 36-hour travel time to get to Taiwan with the layovers. The whole time he was with me, he didn't leave my side, you know.
What's the ultimate goal for Muscletone in 2018? What's the biggest goal?
So to surpass what we already have done, like we do every year, that's the goal. We have to surpass what we're doing, or else why are we here? So that's the thing right now. A lot of the upcoming puppies I have, you know, I'm keeping pretty much something from everything because these breedings I'm doing are power breedings. They're stronger than ever before because the blood is more consistent, you know. So I just got one of my pedigrees for solo. It's Muscletone across the whole entire thing, you know. So, and as you look at it, it's all heavy, extreme dogs. That explains his substance, you know.
Hey man, I really appreciate your time coming on. This was a real quick one. We just wanted to really talk about the whole Casa deal that a lot of people probably didn't even know about. You selling him for what was the price on Casa?
Casa went for a little bit less than what Magoo did on a 50-50 cone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we're talking really just a little bit less, but I own 50% of them. That's why I let the price go. Yeah.
We definitely got to chop it up more once that whole finalization on Mr. Beans take place. But we couldn't really get into it today, which I understand.
No.
We off this about that, but yeah, that's major, man. Two major studs out of your camp gone for big money, man.
Yeah, 1/3, one to go, you know, so, well, we'll see. We'll keep them
We'll see.
going, you
Hey
know.
man, once again, man, I just want to say I really appreciate your time coming on, talking about the vision for Muscletone in 2018 and the up and coming studs that's coming your way.
Awesome. Thank you very much, bro. Always nice talking to you guys. You guys have a
Always,
blessed day.
Jose Pitts.